Hey, welcome everyone to this edition of the July report for the Edmonton area for real estate. And I hope all of you that have been following my videos are enjoying this. I put them out every single month. I will tell you this is a great resource for anyone who's interested in buying a property in the Edmonton area or selling a property or investing, because I've got the best stats. I take the data that is provided by the Edmonton Real Estate Board and I put them into charts that are very, very easy for people to understand and make sense of. So let's kick it off and look at these charts, and I'll give you a tutorial on explaining how it all works. So first of all, you'll notice right here our absorption rate, and we're looking at detached houses. 39.25%, which is absolutely perfect, by the way. It's a balanced market, which means that it's healthy. It's healthy for buyers. It's healthy for sellers. 39.2%, that means 60%, of the properties listed last month in Edmonton didn't sell. And some of you might think, well, how's that a balanced market? Well, it just is. I mean, if you're anything that you can see between 30 and 50% is actually good. But that means that anybody who's selling, if you take the time to prepare your home correctly and you're working with an agent that's good marketing like we do, and of course, if you are priced where it needs to be priced, you should have no problem selling your house. And for a buyer, this just means that you have some choice. It doesn't mean you have to jump on houses as soon as they come up because they're selling so quick. You don't even have time to think about it. Here, you can take a little time. You can look at data. You can shop around. There's probably other houses similar. So this is just a really healthy market. So, average price, and you can see where we're at. For the month, we finished at $490,370, which is, it's doing well for Edmonton. I mean, we're, interestingly enough, we're down a little bit on price year over year, but, 2022 was a bit of a unicorn of a year. It was such an unbelievable high demand. So, getting back to more of a balanced market, like I said, this is actually a good thing. So prices are staying stable. They're not going up at a rapid rate, and they're not going down. So that just makes for a very healthy market. You'll notice here's the chart that shows us all the way back to 2014, where we came from and where we are now. And you can see in 2014, all the way back here, we're at 439. Now for the whole year, by the way, that 490 was just for the month. This is for the full year. We're at 483,000. And what's really good about Edmonton, and just in case if any of you don't know this, Edmonton is one of those cities where you don't see tremendous upside on pricing, but you also don't see tremendous downsizing. So when the market shifts and it becomes more of a buyer's market, you don't have as many people in Edmonton that are, in situations where there's massive job losses and people are getting rid of their homes. That doesn't happen in Edmonton hardly at all. We've seen that over the last 20 years in other market downturns. Just that the kind of employment that Edmonton offers tends to be a little more recession-proof than other cities, like Calgary. Calgary experiences more of those swings. I've seen it where literally in downtown offices in Calgary where there's engineers, a whole bunch of them would get laid off, and it can be a massive amount of people who are then having to put their house on the market. So I'm just telling you this because it's important to understand that it's not a bad thing. You tend to have just a property that has some steady growth over time without the risk of being in a situation where the market can have a tremendous downside potential. And, by the way things look for Edmonton right now, everything actually looks pretty good. We have a healthy amount of people who are moving into Edmonton. That doesn't seem to be looking like it's going to slow down anytime soon. So from an investment perspective, Edmonton looks like a pretty good bet. Looking here's some of the hard numbers. You can see it's 858 out of 2,186 have sold for detached houses. And that is slightly down, from June, but June typically is one of the strongest months of the market. Obviously, May was. You're going to see probably now that we're in August, a lot of people take their vacations. I would guess that we probably won't see quite as many sales in August. And then usually things pick up again, and a lot of buyers come into the market in September and October. So that's why you'll see September generally a better month. On average, it's taking 45 days to sell. Again, that's pretty healthy. Really means that if you haven't sold your house in 45 days, there's got to be one of three things. Either your house wasn't prepared properly, you're overpriced, or you've got some pretty poor marketing with whoever you've hired to do it. Let's look at market distribution. You can see now that 400 to 500,000 has taken first place in the area where most buyers are buying. And that's just because there's been a little bit of price increase. But you can still, at 26.63% of the market, there's still lots of homes in that $300,000 to $400,000 range in Edmonton. And 17% is $500,000 to $600,000. So you can see for a big city, Edmonton, right across Canada, is actually the most affordable city to buy real estate in. And this goes to show it's right here. And I think that's why a lot of people who are coming to Alberta are taking a good look at Edmonton and saying, you know what, this is a really affordable city, and yet the city offers so much. It's got everything you need. It's got a great lifestyle, and it's affordable. So I think that's why Edmonton is going to be a popular place for people to come to here in the next few years. All right, let's take a look at semi-detached houses. And unfortunately, the system doesn't give us the chart data that I would have liked to have gotten, but it does have all the other data. So just ignore the absorption rate over in this area here, and we'll focus more here. By the way, before I go any further, if you haven't been to our website, rvredmonton.ca, I think you'll find this one of the better websites to be able to look at the market and search for properties. I have I've really done a great job, I think, in making it a good user experience by having being able to search by neighborhoods, being able to search by price range. It has all of the schools in there. It makes it really easy for you to find the home you want. So I would encourage you to go to that site. So you can notice here, when you get into semi-detached, clearly there is more buyers here, primarily because it's a little bit less money to own. So 49.46%, we're getting into a seller's market. So if you've got a semi-detached and you're thinking of selling, you could do quite well in the demand for these properties right now. Average price at $381,788 for the month. And that's almost bang on for the whole year as well. So not as great as it was in May, but again, that's just typical for the fact that things just get a little slower in July than they do in May. But you also notice we're slightly down from last year in terms of pricing. We're at $378 for the year. We were at $379, at the finish of 22. So relatively the same. Not really much to worry about there. We had 184 out of 372 that have sold, so that's a pretty healthy market. Almost 50%. That's, the way things look, who knows, it might even be 55% by next month. 32 days to sell, and you can see this is why. Market distribution shows us that 300 to 400,000 is the most popular price point. And that's what makes it really affordable. So if you're buying your first property, this is a really popular price point to be in. If you're looking at an investment property where you're trying to figure out what you can get for rent versus the price of the property, this is also really popular. So it's no surprise to me that it drops off a cliff. When you go to 400 to 500, it's 27% of the market. Almost 50% is right here, 3 to 400. And that's where, like I said earlier, if you're a first-time buyer, this is probably a good place to be. And I think what also makes these really popular is that most semi-detached do not have condo fees. All right, here we are in row houses, otherwise known as townhouses. Typically, these do have condo fees. Right in the balanced market territory, just like we were with detached at 38.64%. So that's pretty healthy. But you notice that the average price goes right into that affordable range, $255,000, $938,000. So, you can get a pretty decent townhouse in Edmonton for under $300,000. That's really attractive, again, if you're a first-time buyer or an investor. And if we move down here, you can see there's more of the hard data. That's 216 out of 559 have sold. And I'm sorry that some of this data to the right just didn't come in from the real estate board on these particular units, so I couldn't give you the stats on there. But month to month, down slightly because again, June and May and June were just stronger months, which is just pretty typical. But look, year to year, I mean, as far as volume goes, we're up 18%. So suddenly these townhouses are being really looked at by a lot of people, both from first-time buyers and investors too, just like the semi-detached. 40 days on market on average, and I get a sneaky suspicious feeling this is going to shorten up because I think if anything happens in Edmonton like it did in Calgary, these townhouses are going to get really popular in the next 6 months. I mean, look at it right now. We're still under $200,000 is 35% of the market for a townhouse, and you can still, a whole bunch of them between $200,000 and $300,000, and then just a little bit less between $300,000 and $400,000. Then it just drops right off. So that's almost the entire market is right here under $400,000. But to think if you could find yourself a good townhouse right now in a good location, if you're a first-time buyer, that is a great way of getting into the market. Not too much money. And what I do like about townhouses is that, yes, there's a condo fee, and some people don't like condo fees, but just remember there is value. There's insurance that's built into that. There's maintenance of the exterior that includes the building envelope, the roof. It also includes putting money away for when the roof needs to be done, landscaping, snow removal. So there is value in those condo fees. It's not like you're paying condo fees and getting nothing in return. You are getting something in return. But I think you're going to see that these townhouse condos are going to be very popular. And I wouldn't be surprised if things keep going the way they're going and people keep moving to Edmonton. You might see that the majority of the market all of a sudden is at 200 to 300,000 in a short time in the future. Okay, now we're looking at apartment condos, and the data did come in from this, so I'm a little bit able to compare here. Now, this is no surprise, 21.57% absorption rate, so it's still a buyer's market for apartment condos, and I can tell you exactly why. Apartment condos for Edmonton is not the first choice of most people. Most people would rather buy a townhouse, attached or a detached property than an apartment condo. So it's no surprise that our market is a little bit less there. Typically, people who buy apartment condos are downsizing. They're looking for that lifestyle. But you do get some business professionals that maybe want to be near the university or close to downtown, looking for that lifestyle as well. But it is more of a lifestyle choice, not necessarily an investment choice for most people. And there are some specific condos that can be good investments, but you really do have to be careful of the location. So that's why you're seeing the absorption rate where it is. But just comparing a little bit of what happens because I watch the Calgary market as much as I watch Edmonton, and Calgary's all of a sudden in the last 18 months saw tremendous growth in apartment condos because the townhouses and the semi-detached started to really get expensive, and then all of a sudden these apartment condos were something that people would look at. So it might be something to really consider from an investment standpoint as well. But I think with the fact that you can get into a townhouse condo for still under $200,000, I would probably say a townhouse may be the better way to go if you're to just compare the two, unless you've got a really superior location for an apartment condo. Now you can see our average price is $192,971. And by the way, there is some good news to this if you're selling a condo, is that at least there is a reasonable demand. I mean, it's still a buyer's market, which means you're going to have to be competitive on your pricing for sure to be able to sell your condo. But at least there's a strong enough market for it. So if you want to sell or maybe move into a townhouse or a semi-detached or attached, this also could be a really good time to do it. You notice that month over month, we're up 5.2% from June. So that's looking pretty strong, down slightly from a year ago, 2.8%. And, if you take a look at the condo market all the way back to 2014, and you can see condos have not done well in Edmonton during those dark years of 2016 all the way to 2021. And you know, again, a part of that is the fact that people just don't want condos as their first choice. So it's for a market like Edmonton, it's not Toronto or Vancouver, where people, you know, there's a real high demand for those, because, you know, living downtown is it's a pretty big deal in cities like that, because the commute is just absolutely crazy. But a market like Edmonton, I mean, you can get around Edmonton arguably 40 minutes, you know, even during rush hour traffic in most areas. So that's why, you know, lifestyle is really just the convenience of maybe being in the Ice District, or maybe near University, near White Avenue. That sort of thing is just more of a lifestyle choice to walk to some of your favorite shops and restaurants and that sort of thing. But it's not so much just because, you know, you have to live near where you work because the traffic's so bad. And I think that contributes to why Edmonton is not a high demand condo type of city. But like I said, though, there potentially could be an opportunity now if you're looking at over the next 5 years, if you're looking at one for an investment or the townhouses, these could do pretty good. So feel free to reach out to me and have a conversation with me about this, because I'm just kind of scratching the surface on what I think might happen in the future for Edmonton. All right, 332 out of 1,539. So that gives you the hard data on where we were at, and that's slightly down from June and slightly better than May. So it's looking like the inventory is a little lower. The demand is up a little bit more. So if that trend continues, well, we could definitely see these price increases into next year. 60 days, obviously, it's more of a buyer's market, so things take a little bit longer. And no surprise here, I mean, 67% of the condos in Edmonton are under $200,000. It just drops off a cliff, and there's virtually almost no market over $400,000 and very little of a market under $300,000. So that tells the story. But keep in mind, for a big city like Edmonton, it's pretty remarkable that you can buy a pretty decent apartment condo for under $250,000 in Edmonton. Like you can get a really decent apartment condo. So that's where the market is for Edmonton right now. But as I keep saying, it's probably going to change. So hopefully this video has been very helpful. And as always, if you are interested in selling and you want a more detailed idea of what your home is worth, and by the way, I always include tips and tricks on some minor things that you can do in your home to bring a tremendous amount of value when I do give these analysis of people when they're looking at selling. And we've just implemented our guaranteed sold program. I'm pretty excited about that, which means we're so confident we can sell your house in 90 days. We'll actually buy it from you if we can't. And it's a very good program. It's a very legit program. Just reach out to me and I'll give you all the details. And if you're looking at buying, I would highly recommend just doing a Zoom call with us or have a coffee with us, and we'll walk you through the process and explain to you everything you need to know in order to buy a property in Edmonton. And I will give you a free copy of my book for buying and also my book for selling if you're selling. All right, have yourself a wonderful August and enjoy the rest of summer. And I can't wait to look at what the stats look like next month.